All right, all right. Happy Wednesday, big hump day for you today. Big waves to you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Andrea, get your arms up. Good to see everybody. Um, well, I don't see, I look today, I do not see anybody's birthday today. So if there's somebody that out there that we're missing you, please let us know. We try to keep up with it, but sometimes we don't see it. So the word for today is disrupt. Disrupt. Drastically alter or destroy the structure. Disrupt. And let me ask you a question. Maybe you can put it in the comments if you want to communicate with us. Do you think of good things when you hear the word disrupt, or do you hear bad things? Like, do you think bad or do you think good when you hear the word disrupt? Because initially when I saw disrupt, it was our word for today. We've been dealing with, some pretty violent storms. Obviously, there's been affected areas like Arkansas recently. But I thought about that. But then I quickly went, let's think about the good. Let's think about, because I come across something that says disrupt is really causing radical change. Radical change. And how many of you has been in a place where, I don't know if it's a relationship or your profession or spiritual walk or your mind or your body. How many of you have been at a place that you've just I'm just locked in and I can't get out. I can't make a change, right? You just feel kind of binded to it. Anybody have you ever had a job before where you're like, I'd love to leave it, but I sure do need it, and you just feel like you're kind of got shackles on you. Well, to me, disrupt really, I thought about that. I'm like, it's radical change. It might be making a radical change to your mind, a radical change to your body, a radical change in your spiritual walk. Maybe it's a relationship that you got to make a radical change. You see, it is not going the way you want it to go. Maybe it's a profession. You got to make a radical change. But you drastically alter and change the status. So I think about businesses when I think about, if you look back in time at what Apple did. Apple made a radical change in their business model that everybody has been chasing Apple ever since. They might have some of the market that Apple has, but Apple's got the bigger piece of the pie. Would you agree with that? Airbnb made a radical change. They did something crazy in an industry. And there's other companies you can be a part of, VRBO, different companies, but they're all chasing Airbnb. Uber did the same thing. They're all chasing Uber. In our industry of network marketing, years ago, Amway did it, right? Made a radical change, said, we're going to do something, and they started a movement. And as many people, it's funny to me because they knock Amway, and I'm like, no one has caught them. They set something in motion years and years ago, and you tell me a company that's called Amway in our industry. Now, you got a lot of companies think they know more than Amway, but none have caught them. And so for me, this turned out to be a really good word when I think about disrupt, because it's we've got this dash that we're running. We got this race of life we're in. And if there's an area of our life, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I might just have to make a radical change and go, you know what? I don't like the direction of this. I've got to shift my focus somewhere else. And I make that drastic, radical change. So I just left with this. What are we doing to positively disrupt and cause radical change through the focused areas of our life? And each one of us has got different focuses, different things. Arlene's might be spiritual. Andrea's might be body. You know, Dr. Bob's might be his business. But whatever it is, think radical, think disruptive. Like what? So, Andrea, I'll turn it to you. That was my thoughts this morning.
Great thoughts, Coach. I loved it. And we were notified that we missed a Sunday birthday. Our very own Anita snuck by us. And I think in our defense on Facebook, she has a yoke or a ranch or a something. Her name is different. So I think that's how it happened. But Anita, we were thinking about you on Sunday. We just didn't know why. We're like, why were we celebrating you on Sunday?
I sent her the boggin she's wearing.
Oh, good. Good job, Coach. I'm so glad. So happy birthday, Anita. And what I found for disrupt was disrupt, change the status quo or become it. And that's Mark Shaler. And I think a lot of times we had people, if we think about the last few years, right, where there was all of this talk about, getting back to normal or return to normal, or we just want the way things were. And when I heard the word disrupt, it's like, well, why would we want to go back to the way something was? Why wouldn't we want to improve it? So how do we disrupt the status quo? How do we disrupt our life in a positive way when we're looking to create some kind of change? So first of all, begin with asking why. And, I think about like the silliest things when I was doing this morning. So I was thinking about coffee because that's what I think about a lot in the morning. So I was thinking about coffee, and I like my coffee with cream and sugar. So, it's stevia, whatever, but still cream and sugar. And it's like, well, why do I like my coffee this way? Well, probably because when I was a little tiny girl, we're talking like 4 years old, my grandfather used to take me ice skating, was not ice skating, but ice skating in their rec center. So we would take our shoes off, we'd wear socks, and we would run around the rec center at their retirement community. And then afterwards, he would give us this much coffee with this much cream and that much sugar. I mean, it was like a cup of sugar with a little bit of coffee and a little bit of cream. And it was like the best treat. I remember this from like 4 until I was probably 16 when we lost him, that this was like the greatest ritual. We used to do it, whenever they were in California. They lived half the year out there. And so I like my coffee with cream and sugar. So that's how I'm going to drink coffee. Now, thankfully, a little less sugar these days. But when we think about so much of our life, it's from patterns we started forever ago and we don't even know why. So if we just take a moment to say, if the answer to the why we do something is because it's the way I've always done it. I always get out of bed or sleep on this side of the bed or whatever it may be. Well, why? Well, it's because I always have. Well, that's a great place for us to find that disruption. It's a great place for us to dig a little bit deeper and change maybe why we're doing something. So if your why is weak, if the reason you're doing something is kind of weak or maybe a little bit silly, that could be a good place to start with that disruption. Next, if we want to disrupt the status quo, we've got to be a little bit transparent. We've got to be vulnerable. So people are tired all around the world. We're all kind of tired of being sold. We get on Instagram and we're like, how many layers of filters do you have? I mean, that's not even just an Instagram filter, Coach. That's just kidding. That's an Instagram filter and a TikTok filter and a camera filter, like not you. But like you see that where you're like, you don't even look like a person anymore. Like there might be bunny ears underneath that thing. And we're tired of it. So if you want to disrupt the status quo, be prepared to present yourself to the world honestly, quirks and all. So, it's kind of crazy, but that will absolutely instantly help you gain credibility and trust with your people, with the people that you really want to connect with in the world when we're authentic. Number 3 is to pivot rapidly. And this is something that I'm no good at. So I'm going to have to learn this because I'm more of a watch and a see coach. Now, if you want to see somebody that changes gears really quickly, that's Coach. He can move on a dime. And if we want to disrupt, we've got to work on moving more quickly. So try something and you might have to pivot again. Try something else, you might have to pivot again. But changing the norm comes with some pitfalls. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to, an idea might come a little bit too soon. The world might not be ready for it, but that's okay. We've got to keep innovating and keep trying. And then lastly, be bold and brave. If we truly want to be disruptive, we've got to come and be prepared for pushback. When we're doing something different, when we're going against the grain, well, everybody that's going with the grain is going to say, why are you doing that? So if we're prepared to have that pushback and we're brave and we're bold through it, we can absolutely disrupt. And that makes me think of, and Coach, I know you've read this on here before, and I don't think I can read the whole thing, but guys, look up the quote from Theodore Roosevelt, The Man in the Arena. And it's long and I'm not great at reading out loud, but it's a phenomenal quote, really encouraging people to challenge the status quo, to disrupt, because the whole principle is we're so critical of the people out there actually doing something, but really the person that we should be applauding is the one out there getting dirty. So thought this was a good one today, Coach. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And Anita, happy birthday. We love you.
Yeah, great lesson, Andrea. Yeah, Anita, happy belated birthday. We love you. We appreciate you guys. Have a great day out there. Happy hump day. See you back tomorrow.
God bless.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
you guys.
you
Great
very much.
report.
Appreciate it.
Love you guys.
Happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Anita. Great
Thank
job,
you.
guys. Love it.
All right,
Have a great
Anita.
day.
Great job. We love you.
Love you all.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'm on the
Mike.
plane next week. I'm on the plane.